Welcome to the Vital Doc Talk podcast. This is Vlad, and today we have Dr. Joy on the other line here. And I'm actually recording this as well because she's working from her office. So let's do a quick background on you, Dr. Joy. So why don't you tell the audience why don't you tell the audience for their own benefit, Dr. Joy? First of all, how do you say your last name? How about we start with that?
It's Poskozim. Emphasis on the second syllable. So yeah, it's Dr. Joy Poskozim. But trust me, Vlad, everyone just calls me Dr. Joy.
Okay, that's great, Dr. Joy. So, so this is episode number 3 on the Vital Doc Talk podcast, and I wanted to have Dr. Joy on because I spoke to her. We're always trying to build a community. We see us as like collaborators, not just like transaction makers in the industry, and we're always trying to push the field forward. So we were interviewing Dr. Joy for a blog post we did, and then she was interested in talking more about SEO and stuff like that. And so we jumped on a call, and she's actually a very savvy marketer. I thought I was going to be somebody who didn't know and just had a bunch of questions, but she gave me a bunch of great answers. So Dr. Joy, for the audience out there that are maybe just starting to market, etc., what was your journey like when you first started, and kind of what were the tips and tricks you've learned since then?
Excellent question. One of the things that I learned from my employer as an associate when I first bought my dental practice was to spend a lot of your overhead on marketing, because you want everyone to know where you are and what you do, what your dentistry, how your dentistry is different than the person down the block or upstairs from you. Especially in a larger city like Chicago, where I'm at, there's 7,000 of us in city proper alone, let alone Chicagoland. So you really want to spread the word as far as possible and in many avenues as possible, because the word out that you exist. That's first and foremost. And so the first 2 to 4 years needs to be really spent on that. And then you're hoping within that third, fourth year, you're hoping that you're getting a lot of personal referrals, that you're doing a good job, and you're practicing well, and you've got a good team, and so you're hoping for the personal referrals. But what is more calculatable is actually figuring out where you want to be focusing on. Now you can hone in. You can be honing in on, okay, I really want to be focusing on this neighborhood. I really want to be focusing on this zip code. I really want to be focusing in this parish or this community, because I see already, getting a lot of patients from there, and I want to be able to reach out to as many people in that grouping as possible. So that is also, very important as well. On a social media standpoint, I choose to do my things organically, so it sounds like it's really coming from me. So by doing the Facebook page, of course, and the LinkedIn page, and now there has been for a while now Instagram. And the great thing about all 3 of those is that with your hashtags, you can really also then focus on once again your neighborhood, or I could be as broad based as Chicago dentist, but I'm going to be more focusing on my neighborhood. So I'm going to say hashtag Lincolnwood dentist, because that's a neighborhood that's just north of me, and that's an area I really want to be, growing my business in. Or hashtag Edgebrook dentist, because that is a neighborhood of Chicago that I would really like to also be generating more patients from. So that is incredibly important to really be going after the clientele, or for me, patients, if you will, that you really want to be working with.
Awesome. That's great tips. I think a lot of doctors should definitely step it up on social media. And it sounds like, so your strategy is you've got that hashtag game on lock, and you're basically getting all of the neighborhoods, that are interested in your industry to talk about you. Can you go into a little bit more about maybe posting strategies? Like, do you have a preferred social media channel you like? Or maybe what's your thought process on if you're a doctor just starting on to, a social media channel, like how should they figure out their strategy for postings?
That is a really great question.
Thank you.
I'll just start with Facebook. Facebook, very easy to navigate. What's great about Facebook, especially for your business, and that you can pre-plan your posting for at least a month. So for example, so it's like maybe the third or fourth week of the month on a Sunday, I'll just spend 1 to 2 hours and just generate posts and schedule them. And what happens is you literally get an email, this is all free, by the way, analytics of, so like 9 a.m., so when I first started it, I was doing it all different hours. So I really wanted to see who was being engaged, who was it reaching out to. And so for me, it turns out that it's right around lunchtime. So all my posts now are generated or focused or scheduled between the hours of, for Central Standard Time, 12 and 2 p.m. So that way I know that I'm getting the most engagement for my audience. That was really huge for me, and like I said, that's free. And so with Facebook, what am I posting? I'm posting informational stuff, but you can also be casual as well. So there was one viral Facebook posting about a dentist on the East Coast who was doing the happy dance with his patients, and then by himself, and then was happy. It went absolutely viral. And that was actually a Facebook posting. And something that's could be as funny as that, or it could be more serious. You could also try to ask questions and see if people are going to respond. Sweet or savory. What's your habit? What do you like? What do you like? What do you prefer? Stuff like that. So that's where Facebook comes in. It really runs the gamut, and you can really make it as playful or as serious as you want it to be. It's a great platform for that. With LinkedIn, it is way more professional, way more serious, and you really want to be sounding like an expert. You're not going to be posting the happy. I mean, if you could be posting the happy dance, on LinkedIn, but you're not going to be taken very seriously, especially if that's your first post. So with LinkedIn, you really want to be either creating original content on a subject that you really do know a lot about, and then following it up with hashtags, or maybe I'm taking the lazy way out, but it's something that people I know are going to read. I'm incorporating a post from WebMD. I'm incorporating a post from Healthline, so on and so forth. So I will take this post, I will take this, particular article, for example, and be like, you know what, I don't agree with it, and here's why.
That's cool.
I found that I get a lot more engagement when I disagree with something, and then explain why, then versus, 2 thumbs up, keep up the good work, Time or whatever, New York Times. I get way more feedback, both positive and negative, which is good. That's engagement, right?
100%.
You're showing up. You're being seen when I disagree with an article. So now I'm really searching for this, right?
That's gold.
Instagram. I got to admit, Instagram, for me, it's probably the weakest of the three. I'm really trying to incorporate it more, learning, the pros and cons of what you have in a profile. And once again, I mean, if you thought that anything goes to Facebook, really anything goes with Instagram.
Yeah, that's true.
One of the things that I am going to be doing with my page that I have not done yet is having those highlights on top and making sure that I'm differentiating my profile. So this is about the nursing home patients that I see. This is about my own office. This is about my name is Joy, so I try to find joy in all things. So one of my highlights is going to be, just the word or term, my name, Joy, and breaking it down that way, and then engaging more on Instagram. My go-to, I'm 47, so I think it has to do with my age group. My go-to is Facebook. But are they the people that I continuously want to be focusing on all the time? Not necessarily. I want to be focusing to the younger crowd too, because that's what they love their teeth. They want their teeth to be beautiful.
For sure.
And I can do that to them, and by being older than them, I will be seen as seasoned and experienced. So that is a good thing, and therefore I should be promoting more of my practice on Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram, I've seen a couple of people do the before and afters, which I think is great in the medical field because you can have really clear, before and after photos and, photos with happy clients, and I can connect you to Sarah, who actually before she joined our team, we just do search engine optimization. That's our specialty. But she actually used to work for an Instagram influencer. And so when
Oh
she
wow.
first joined the team, I had to be a marketing assistant for my company. What I did was I make everybody do like a little test before. And so I had a competition for like the best ideas. And she was actually able to generate conversations for her first week with potential clients through Instagram by DMing them. And that's like her niche. So I can basically hook you up with her and she'll talk to you about that and like her strategies. She still does she like landed her influencer a deal with McDonald's. So I
Nice.
was like, if you get us McDonald's as a client, Sarah, you're hired. But
Yeah, right, exactly.
yeah, yeah, she's doing good. So for you, Dr. Joy, now obviously you were really crushing it, when I talked to you because you've got these consistent strategies. And how are you handling the whole coronavirus situation, right? Like that probably threw a curveball. Are you talking about that on social media? And then what's happening with the practice there? What's your advice to other
Yeah,
dentists?
absolutely. Absolutely, I am. And it's so important to keep the patients informed on a dental level too. Especially now, as so information hungry. Everyone is, let alone my patient base.
Yeah.
They want to know more. They want to know as much as possible, and they want to know it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they want to make sure that it's current, that it's
Mm-hmm.
current information. This is not news from last week. This is now news. So yes, I am talking about it. For example, we just found out yesterday that state of Illinois, we originally were going to be able to start practicing again for regularly after April 7th. Well,
Hopefully.
I mean, come on, right? That is obviously not going to happen when we haven't even reached peak yet.
Yeah.
Correct. So they put out a statement yesterday saying, look, you guys are closed, for non-essential treatment until, indefinitely. We don't know when you'll be able to start practicing normally again. So of course I immediately posted that on Facebook, right? I mean, it was the first thing that I went to, it's a huge amount of text and it's the good thing about Facebook is that it allows for all of that. It can be as long as you want it to be, unlike LinkedIn, where you don't have that ability.
Yeah.
Even Twitter for that matter.
Yeah.
And then with Instagram, all I did was, because it's all text, right? With Instagram, I just put up an image that says, emergency patients only. And then in the text, I did a little summary of what state of Illinois said, and of course, with the, obligatory hashtags.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, yes, I did say it in 3 different ways, per the platform and per my audience.
Yeah, I think that's gold. I think obviously every platform is different, so you can't use text on Instagram; it doesn't work, right? And then on Twitter there is that character limit, and then on LinkedIn obviously it's like 1,000. So you should make your your social media posts context appropriate, and I think that's a really great tip as well. Dr. Joy is obviously crushing it on social. So what is your advice? Maybe let's take a step aside of the marketing. Our number one value at our company is care. And for Vital Doc Talk, I think it's important for doctors obviously to not just care about their patients, but their teams. So what is your advice for doctors out there and dentists? Maybe, I don't know, maybe they have to reduce their hours of operation now, right? They can some of them are really shut down. I talked to a plastic surgeon like 2 weeks ago, and that's, he can't do any of the non-essential stuff. What would your tips be for them?
Well, I am currently working with my office manager, who is working with the insurance claims and all that stuff that, are coming in, fortunately, and so that we're making sure that all I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Mm-hmm.
So I am working with one member of my team. Normally I have 7 people, between my associates and my front and back office.
Mm-hmm.
For those that are not working with me, I'm being perfectly honest and frank with them. I'm reaching out to them on, pretty much every 2 to 3 days. I'm keeping them posted of what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be perfectly blunt. I tell them to apply for unemployment. Yeah. I'm in the process, what are we going to do? Let's be real here. As an employer, I submitted for the SBA loan. And fortunately in Chicago, we have a City of Chicago resiliency loan that I literally just applied for. Both of these loans, you have to show that you're paying payroll.
Oh,
Of course, I explain that. I mean, communication is key, and open communication is key. And I want my staff to be talking to me. And this is all by text. We're doing a group text,
wow.
and then I might send one separately to my OM. I might send one separately to, just to say that I'm here and I'm caring about you. Because my goal is to be able to pay them, out as soon as I get, these loans in. Now,
Yeah.
that's, of course, the $1 million question, right? When are we going to be getting these monies?
Yeah.
But I don't want to be focusing on that right now. What I want to be focusing on is that I'm still here for you, and we are going to see this, through together, and we are going to make it on the other side, and you will be compensated accordingly for this period of time that you're not working here. So once again, I know I've said it twice now. I'll say it a third time. Open communication is so important.
Super.
You don't want the team to feel left out.
Never.
In the process. And I'm giving it to like a perfect, I'm being completely transparent, 100% transparent on where we are right now as an office and as a team, and where we're going to be in the future.
Yeah. I think that's great advice as always. So yeah, transparency, that's definitely super key. That's what I've had to do with my own team members as well, right? And we had a team of 12, and we'll see we're slowly had to reduce hours because so many other industries were hit. And then for people out there, maybe dentists that aren't doing essential procedures, right? I put this on LinkedIn the other day, and like what bothers me is when I get contacted by like a finance company, such as, I'll just give you an example, like TurboTax, right? And I didn't get an email from them, but they're like, hey, this is TurboTax. We're doing great. We're still in business. Thanks. And it's like, that's their coronavirus. And I'm like, really, this is what I'm getting? So I would tell, doctors and other business owners out there is basically make sure you think of the client, you address their needs first in your email, right? Like maybe you're a dentist and you're like, hey, obviously I can't see you. Here are some like top 3 things you should do to prevent a toothache that maybe you don't normally do. Or if you get one, here are some things you should do before to find out if you should come see me and it turns into an emergency, etc. Right? Try to give them some kind of extra value that you normally don't give to show them that you care and show them that you're really supportive right now, because I think right now is also a time where you get to see everybody's true colors in the community.
Yeah. Oh, amen.
So.
It's so true. I mean, we're all going to have our good days and bad days, right?
Mm-hmm,
We're all going to be, we're all going to reach a point. I'm assuming at some point, because we're human, right?
Yeah.
That we're going to reach a point where like, okay, I'm stuck right now, and that is okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is absolutely fine. You have you reach out, you get support, because I promise you that other person who's receiving it has already been through it, or they're going to be, right?
100%.
It goes both ways. Yeah. But yes, you're absolutely right with those emails. And originally with Illinois, we were supposed to be able to start seeing patients tomorrow.
Wow.
And then, and then they postponed it till after April 7th. So now we had this, we moved everyone that we could, so we had a full schedule starting tomorrow. I personally called each and every one of those patients. So that I could have a conversation with them. And that, if they wanted to talk with me, they could talk with me. And they could ask questions, and they can express fears, and they could say, whatever they needed from me, I was able to, hopefully be able to provide for them. And I'm like, you know what? If you thought of something, email me, call me again.
Love it.
That was, like you said, that extra value. I could not agree with you more. Now is the time to be demonstrating that.
100%, right? And then because once you get out of this, because we know we will, right? Then you're going to have actually a really deep relationship with your clients and your community, right? Your team and even your vendors. And that's, you can turn that into a strength, right? And the question I want to ask everybody out there is, how are you going to come back, and not just come back, but come back stronger, right? Yeah. And that's the key thing. You should use this time to set yourself up to come back stronger for, whatever, dentist practice or surgeon or even other business owners listening to this should look into. That's great. That's awesome, Dr. Joy. So obviously social media, that's the number one thing right now because that's virtual. Before this whole corona eruption, did you do any person-to-person type of services? You said you did end up buying a practice, right? So buying that practice, what was that process like? I think a lot of people, especially doctors out there who might be able to afford it or maybe, have the loans to, what would your recommendations be to buying, another business?
It's a really great question. So, hindsight's always 2020. Don't don't take the seller up on their offer to provide a lawyer for me.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay, noted.
Wow. Yeah. So naive. Yeah. So you find your own lawyer, and and really, I mean, what you pay is really what you're going to get.
Okay.
Bottom line. That's number one. Number two, it's essential, necessary to look at AR for the last 3 years, especially for a doctor who is, for me, dentist who is retiring,
Mm-hmm.
because if they have not been practicing full time, this is going to show how much more work you're going to have to do to retain the patients that they still have, and it's also going to reflect the value of the book of business.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the book of business, right? So when it comes to a dental office, and I'm assuming a medical office too, you've got two things. One, you've got the equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got the book of patients.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that book, okay, great, you've got the equipment, but that really is going to reflect the value.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is to really understand and to figure out and to go through all the different reports to show that this book of patients is legit, it's real. And if that doctor isn't willing, or broker isn't willing to share that information with you, move on, walk away. It's not worth it. It's going to bite you in the butt in the long run.
Yeah.
Once again, you need to be as transparent with you on their practice as you are going to be with them with your tax returns, to show that you can be getting the money to be able to buy the practice, or that you already have the money. It goes both ways. If they need the reports generated, then you should be expecting, they should be handing it to you, no questions asked, all the reports that you need to show value for this practice. So those are the two biggest things that I can say about. Anyone who's been practicing, even for a little bit, will know when they walk into a dental office, for example, the quality of the equipment, and how well it's been treated, and how old the equipment is. So are you willing to deal with older equipment? And if you are, fantastic. But one of the things that fortunately didn't really affect me until 14 years of me owning my practice,
Mm-hmm.
was that I didn't know. No one told me, there again, I never asked, that for my dental chairs, which of course the most expensive things that I had at the time, that they stopped making parts for these chairs back in 2000.
Wow.
So now it's 2019, and I'm like, oh, this part's failing, or I really need a new part for this. And they're like, yeah, no, they don't exist anymore.
Oh, ouch.
Now, fortunately, I'm moving into new space, brand new chairs. That's great, but it's so important to have that information up front. Okay, yeah, these chairs are 15 years old. They look in really good shape. They obviously have been taken care of. Awesome. What's the brand? And do the due diligence on your own part to make sure that the parts either A, still being made, or there's plenty enough to go around, so that you're willing to take, so then you know in advance, okay, well, if a part, something begins to die, you are still able to use that chair, and that chair still has value. And that goes with any major piece of equipment.
That's awesome. I mean, that's really solid advice. And in terms, and it sounds like at the core of it, it's really doing your due diligence. And anybody that doesn't know what AR, by the way, is, it's annual revenue for your business. It's yearly revenue, and MRR is monthly revenue, monthly recurring revenue, actually, if you want to get there. But basically, yeah, knowing the annual revenue, that past 3 years, down to the chairs. I love that. So it's really doing your due diligence. Did you have anyone you talked to in the beginning process, or now do you have somebody in your network that you go to for this kind of information, or is it really you have to learn through experience first?
That's a really good question. And it's interesting to look at it now in the perspective of me being a business owner, a dental business owner, versus when I was first starting out. Mm-hmm. When I first started out as an associate, I had been practicing 7 years when I bought the practice. Mm-hmm. So at that time, I was working in an area that was very competitive dental-wise. Mm-hmm. There was a very high saturation of dentists. Mm-hmm. So it was very competitive, and so therefore it was very difficult to to really count on anyone or to really trust anybody, or at least this was my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
to really trust anyone. And I didn't know where to go or how to reach out for a mentor.
Yes.
But finding a mentor is critical and key if you want to be successful. Finding someone that has same values, same ethics that you do, similar ways of wanting to practice dentistry. So, for example, I mean, if you really want to treat kids, you're not going to be, really, your mentor is not going to be someone that only does root canals, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, oil and water. That's not going to, that's not going to help you at all.
100%.
But if you're going to, but finding that mentor, finding that person, and you only need one. I mean, really, because that one person is going to know a lot of people and will guide you as much as you want to be, with your handheld, as much as you want it. That was someone that I didn't have. Now I have a lovely group of dentists. I think I'm just more confident in my own dentistry and my own business that I feel more confident to reach out and ask for help. But no one should feel bad about asking for help.
Yeah.
Because everyone has been there, done that.
Exactly.
It's something and have gone through it and say, this is what I did, this is what I should have done, this is what I would recommend now for the times. But yeah, keyword mentor.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, every doctor, Yeah, for sure. Definitely agree. Even Dr. Dre, every doctor had to start somewhere, except, yeah, but yeah. So in terms of finding a mentor and reaching out, because I 100% agree myself, actually. I started, a network for just startup co-founders and business owners here locally in Seattle that I run for free every month. What is your message to, let's say you're a doctor or a dentist and you want to get a mentor? How would you, let's say maybe somebody wants you as a mentor, right? How should they approach that person, right? Maybe they don't know you, their network's not as big. Just go through colleagues, I don't know. What are your tips for getting that first mentor and messaging them? What should they say?
That's an excellent question. So we all are required to take certain number of continuing education classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Each state is different, but I believe every state is required a certain number of them have to be live, which means you have to have button seats, listening to a lecture.
Yes.
And of course you're going to be attending lectures on materials, that you are interested in anyway, right? So this person who's a speaker, generally speaking, is going to be someone that you are going to be respecting and have a similar ilk, right?
Yes.
So there hasn't been one lecture in the 21 years I've been practicing. There has never been a lecturer that says, "Don't reach out to me about it." No, that's not their game. They're speaking because they care about it. Not every, dentist or doctor wants to be a speaker, right? So the ones that are speaking are the ones that really, truly feel they have a passion for the material that they have, and they really want to share it. They really want that engagement. They really want to present. They really want to help their audiences learn. And so therefore they almost expect some kind of, response back. So there's always an email. There's always a phone number. They will tell you how they want to be reached.
Wow.
And then go for it. Or at the end of the meeting, at the end of the lecture, they will hand out cards. You hand them your card. There hasn't been one speaker that I've chosen to reach out to that has not reached back. And we had a conversation, and a relationship developed.
Love it.
And and that person was there when I needed them at that time. And is it someone that I'm going to be constantly, engaging with? Maybe not. But that's something that should be expressed as well. Look, I really appreciate what you taught today. It really spoke to me. I feel I can learn a lot from you. Do you provide mentoring? And they're going to be perfectly honest with you. No, I really don't. But I promise you, they're going to know someone who does.
That's fantastic.
And once again, that person is going to be a similar ilk because that's who they relate to.
Love
so
it.
Through when you meet one, I truly believe through when you meet one. So yeah, approaching that speaker, they're incredibly approachable. They generally speaking for the most points. My personal opinion, if I'm speaking out to a crowd and their speaker is saying absolutely not. Then they should only be doing Zoom virtual presentations.
They should not.
There hasn't been, honestly, one speaker that I haven't approached myself that hasn't been incredibly generous with their time, information, education. And yeah, That's what I see.
100% agree. I think, if you're in the public, then you got to be accessible to the public. You can't just say what you want to say. And
Exactly.
and if somebody says no to mentorship, maybe you can ask them a different question. Say, hey, well, what books do you recommend? And you get in there that way to start. And then you can always reach out to those authors. And then lastly, from my first interview I did with my friend Omar, he said, especially for doctors and dentists, where you have practices, you're not competing, through the whole U.S. One thing right now, even as everyone's kind of stuck home and they're more receptive to talking to one another, is you guys can all potentially, get 3 to 5 other, other basically colleagues in the same industry as you, right? And then you guys can have a mastermind call once a week or once every 2 weeks, virtually on Google Hangouts, and you're not even competing. So you guys are really comfortable to be open and honest with one another. So.
And let me tell you right now, I'm so sorry for interrupting, but I have to say this, especially going on with COVID, it's even more prominent now, but it was pretty prominent before. Facebook has these closed tunnel groups. And they range everything from dentists against corona versus, dentists in business. Every possible topic in dentistry you could possibly think of. I promise you there's a closed Facebook group. It's just a matter of, so finding someone either if you attend, American Dental Association or your local dental societies, I promise you there's a way to get into one of these groups. And then once you're invited into one, I promise you that, that's just a stepping stone. And the amount of information that is generated, that people are willing to give to those that are in this group it's phenomenal. It really is. It's priceless. It really is. Now, granted, let's be honest, we're also human too, so sometimes it gets a little political and all that stuff.
I'm sure.
But for the most part, you start off by saying, hey, I'm a new dentist. I'm really scared right now about what's going on here. What's going on right now. What are you guys doing about this? And then I promise you that the responses will be hang in there, so incredibly supportive, and then a lot of them will also provide tips if you want. And then you can reach out to those particular dentists on their own, saying, hey, I really appreciate, you being there for me, and then you can start a conversation that way.
Yeah.
It's been that, once again, it is, there is no price for the amount of information that's generated in those groups.
Perfect. Yeah, and I 100% agree. And even if you're not new, I'll say this for the people that are not new out there. If you, let's say, in our one of our groups, there was a guy, he had 6 offices locations, and he had to close down 4 of them, Dr. Joy. So,
oh my God.
and he's, he's a doctor dealing with his own issues. But I would say, everyone's different. But even if you're in that situation, I would urge you to do the same thing. Reach out, say, hey, this is the hit I took. And your colleagues should definitely understand during these times, at least the ones you want for support, because now's the time everybody will show their real colors in the industry.
Yeah.
And Dr. Joy, thank you so much. You've been phenomenal. Any last words of wisdom for the audience? Any other Vital Doc talk? I'm sure I could talk to you for like another hour. Thank you.
I know, right? I feel like I do too. Exactly. Okay, so for right now, putting things off, being a procrastinator during this time is not good.
Yeah.
Then it'll never get done. And as for me personally, I can be a lazy couch potato, in a snap, on the couch with my chips and dip, and watching whatever Netflix is throw at me, right?
Yeah.
So literally, Tiger King. Oh my God.
Yeah, Tiger King is everywhere.
Oh my God. Okay. So anyway, like I said before, me being here at the office requires me to be focusing on my practice every single day for 8 hours. And I leave here, knowing that I've accomplished something that is helping to push my practice forward, even without me seeing patients. And I can't stress that enough. Even if it's just a little something, if you're a mom, if you're a dad, and you've got to be teaching your kids right now, and you just don't have that kind of time, then block out a period of time for your practice. Even if it's just posting. Putting yourself out there will continue to keep you in your patients, your clients' minds, and so that when we do get out from this on the other side, they're not going to be like, well, where the heck was Dr. Smith? Dr. Smith has been with you all along.
Love it. Yeah, 100% agree. And I think, I listened to the interview with I think Anthony Fauci, I think is how you say his name. He predicts 100,000, 200,000 deaths is what he said. So he didn't want to be held to that.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
it's going to get worse, guys. But right now is not that. So if you procrastinate, it's just going to get worse. So you got to just focus on what you can control. Block out that time, like Dr. Joy said. It's great advice. Dr. Joy, if anybody out there, any dentist, et cetera, wants to, or whatever patients, even if they want to reach out to you, where should they go? What should they do?
Absolutely. So my website is currently, because I had all this extra time on my hands, my website is currently under review. So I would recommend just emailing me directly. And my email is J as in Joy, V as in Victor, P as in Paul, Dent. So those are my initials, JVP Dent at gmail.com. And I look forward to hearing from anyone who's interested in having a conversation. Okay,
thank you. And that was another Vital Doc Talk podcast, and I hope you guys took something away. Thank you, Dr. Joy. Awesome.
You're welcome. Have a great day.